Here are the top stories for today, October 15, 2019. Senators say that PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde's move to vacate his post does not get him off the hook. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno welcomes the launching of Kadiwa in Manila City Hall. Presidential spokesperson Panelo dares critics to provide solutions to solve the traffic instead of just finding faults. And Major General Antonio Parlade lambasts former Bayan Muna Representative Satur Ocampo for discrediting President Duterte's EO-70.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story for today, PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde's move to vacate his post does not get him off the hook. This as Senator Richard Gordon and Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon said that Albayalde's retirement does not mean he can get away with the investigation on his alleged involvement in the 2013 Ninja Cops issue. Rom Dulfo tells us more.
Senator Richard Gordon on Monday said General Oscar Albayalde's alleged inaction on the recycling of drugs issue in Pampanga may have opened the ladder to a host of administrative and criminal liabilities. Gordon said that there was a cover-up of the dubious activities of the Pampanga policemen under his watch, more so with the awarding of merits on the said operation and meddling with the subsequent investigation of his men when he became a general. Drilon shared Gordon's sentiments, saying that Albayalde's continued stay as PNP chief has become untenable. For Senator Panelo Lacson, Albayalde's early departure from the office has somehow diminished the redeeming value of his intent to spare the PNP from the so-called Ninja Cops controversies. Lacson said that while he did not want to cast judgment on Albayalde's character, who is also a PMAer, it is a sad reality that many PMA graduates have been eaten by the corrupt and corrupting system of law enforcement. He commended Mayor Benjamin Magalo, retired General Manuel Gerlan and others for doing their part not to tolerate PMAers who violated the honor code. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo on Monday said the testimonies of General Magalong and General Rudy Lacadin is problematic and could only be dismissed by the court. Magalong claimed Albayalde deferred the dismissal order against her subordinates involved in the recycling of illegal drugs, while Lacadin said the resigned PNP admitted receiving money from the reselling of drugs, but only a little.
Like for instance, yung statement na yung kay General Lacadin daw, di ba, malaking prueba na. Alam mo, ang problema doon sa statement ni General, meron siya sinabing, hindi ko alam kung nagbibiro o hindi. Sa hukuman, hindi pwede yun. Pag ganyan ang salita mo, wala na. Dismiss ang kaso mo. Kasi dapat doon, nung tinawagan po ako, seryoso at talagang pinipilit niya na ganito. At sinabi pa nga ako, nakatanggap siya ng pera. Mga ganun dapat. Pero sabi mo, hindi ko alam kung nagbibiro o hindi. Ano ba namang klaseng testimonya yun? Pangalawa, yun namang kay Mayor Magalong, with due respect to you, ang naririnig ko rin kasi parang hearsay din, parang hindi personal knowledge hindi rin papasok sa hukuman yun. Yun ang nagiging problema dyan. Tsaka isa pa, mawalang galang na rin sa ibang senador. Alam mo, pag nag-iimbestiga ka, huwag ka muna magsalita na guilty ito o ang ebidensya malakas. Hayaan mo na muna sanang matapos, tsaka ka gumawa ng rekomendasyon. Otherwise, may problema ka talaga. Para pareho kayo magkakaproblema.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Despite the issue on recycling of seized illegal drugs, PNP Deputy Chief and Officer in Charge Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa believes the government is still winning its fight against narcotics. In a television interview on Tuesday, Gamboa said that the present controversy in the PNP is just a temporary setback and that the country is winning on its campaign against illegal drugs. Gamboa said that the Ninja Cops issue is just an isolated case and that the PNP will regain its stance and continue to pursue rogue cops and illegal drugs. Gamboa earlier said that administrative raps cannot be filed by the PNP against Albayalde once he steps down from his office. Meanwhile, lawmakers on Monday gave mixed reactions on the decision of Albayalde to step down before his mandatory November 8 retirement. Muntinlupa City Representative Rufi Viazon said that Albayalde's resignation will help preserve the integrity of the PNP and protect the institution from being mired in further controversy. Quezon City Representative Alfred Vargas meanwhile stressed the need to pass new pieces of legislation to protect whistleblowers as well as to further strengthen the National Police Commission and People's Law Enforcement Boards. He also wants an audit system within the PNP and the DILG. And for Ako Bicol Party List Representative Alfredo Garbin, the National Police Commission should have a stringent vetting process at each stage of the promotions process, from the local chief of police upwards the career ladder. Major General Guillermo Eleazar on Tuesday said he believes that the newly appointed NCRPO chief will be able to continue the intensified internal cleansing of ranks as well as the government's campaign against illegal drugs. In a radio interview, Eleazar said that the new NCRPO chief, Brigadier General Dibold Sinas, is also strict like him and will be able to continue what he and resigned PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde started in the NCRPO. Sinas served as chief of the Central Visayas Regional Police Office prior to his appointment as NCRPO chief. Eleazar is now the chief of the directorial staff and will have direct supervision over major units of the PNP. He is among the possible successors of Albayalde, who will retire on November 8. Other candidates for the PNP chief are Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa and Lieutenant General Camilo Pancratius Cascolan. In other news, the city government of Manila and the Department of Agriculture launched on Monday a Kadiwa grocery outlet that would sell fruits, vegetables, and meat products at reasonably low prices at the inner court of the City Hall. Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso said the Kadiwa project is a win-win solution for both poor consumers and struggling farmers.
Kung bata po ang Kadiwa ay isang pamilihan ng mga mahihirap nating kababayan na gusto makatipid, kung saan ito'y sinimulan ng pamahalaan upang murang mabili sa murang halaga ang mga pangunahing bilhin: bigas, gatas, panutsa, yun yung asukal, o tapos gulay at iba pang mga pangunahing pagkain. Sa mga nagtatanim, mga farmers, mga producers, ito po ay maliit naming kaparaanan na tulong sa inyo ng pamahalaang lungsod ng Maynila na lagi kayong welcome dito. At ito ay simula lamang ng marami pang araw na kami naman sa iba't ibang nayon, iba't ibang probinsya ay makatulong na mapalakas ang kanilang mga produkto, mabili ng takdang oras. At kami naman, bilang consumer, ay makatipid ang ating mga kababayan na taga-lungsod ng Maynila. At pag ito isinigawa ng 1,600 plus municipalities and cities, tingin ko, bababa ang bilihin, gagaan ang pamumuhay ng tao, at mas maraming savings para sa iba pang bagay na tustusin sa kanilang pamumuhay.
MRT-3 adds its first Dalian train set to its regular fleet, and the Philippine Marine Corps boasts of new amphibious vehicles. More on this and other news around the metro from Janice Cabe.
A Dalian train set equivalent to 3 train coaches hit the tracks of MRT-3 main line starting today, October 15. In a statement, DOTR MRT-3 said the Dalian train will operate during evening off-peak hours from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Each set of Dalian train can carry up to 1,050 passengers per trip. Meanwhile, troops of the Philippine Marine Corps handled well the newly acquired amphibious assault vehicles during the amphibious landing phase of the ongoing Kamandal 3 exercise. Philippine Marine Corps spokesperson Captain Felix Serapio on Monday said new amphibious capabilities will boost the Marines' capabilities to respond to counter-terrorism scenarios and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and territorial defense operations. The 4 AAVs, which were acquired from South Korean defense manufacturer Hanwha Systems, were supported by another 4 AAVs from the US and Japanese contingents participating in the maneuvers. In other news, the Department of National Defense on Monday expressed appreciation to the unequivocal support of the UP Vanguard Incorporated Pasig chapter for the reinstatement of basic mandatory ROTC program for senior high school students. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said ROTC envisions to instill discipline and sense of purpose, respect for the laws and the authorities, and obedience to rules and regulations to students in a military training environment. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo dared the critics to provide solutions to solve the traffic instead of just finding faults. And government officials respond to the call of Vice President Leni Robredo not to use sirens. These and more when we return.
Nasa kabilang line din si Asset JV. So, maikli lang, Sec Mart, yung biyahe ninyo sa Moscow, kumusta?
Maganda yung naging biyahe kasi sa Moscow ay na-verbalize ni Presidente ang kanyang independent foreign policy at kung ano yung kanyang ini-expect sa mga ibang first world countries. Sabi niya, mahalaga yung equality, fairness at ang mutual respect, hindi nag-i-intervene sa mga issues o sa pamamalakad ng isang gobyerno. So dapat may respeto. At bukod doon, of course, meron yung mga signing ng mga agreements, mga business deals between Russian business delegates at Philippine business delegates. Alam natin, nangyari naman na meeting with President Putin at President Duterte at Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev at President Duterte.
So talagang lalalim pa yung goodwill and friendship na na-build na with Russia?
In fact, nasa 1.3 billion yung trading yung trading between the Philippines and Russia. At wala pang 100 million yung ine-export natin sa Russia. At doon lang sa mga deals na yun, sobra na dun sa 100 million. So magandang sign yon para sa ating gobyerno at ang ating efforts para tumaas pa yung ating trading with the Russian Federation.
So ano yung mga promises na naiuwi ni Presidente?
Well, meron yung pakikipagtulungan para labanan yung terrorism, transnational crime, para din matulungan tayo ng Russia sa giyera natin against narcotics, illegal drugs. Yung possibility na magkaroon ng exploration sa ating oil industry, the possibility of nuclear energy. So maraming mga pwedeng
I-explore
mangyari.
Pwede mangyari.
Oo, dun sa naging agreement. In fact, ngayon, sa cabinet report, ay meron doon sa mga agreements ng pag-uusapan.
The Supreme Court this afternoon ordered the release of a report on the initial recount of votes in the electoral protest of former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. The High Court, acting as Presidential Electoral Tribunal, ruled to release the results of the recount of votes in the 3 pilot provinces in the poll protest. It also asked both camps to submit their comments on the results in the 3 pilot provinces picked by Marcos, which are Negros Oriental, Iloilo, and Camarines Sur, and the former senator's motion to nullify the results in Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao. Robredo defeated the son of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos by just over 200,000 votes in the 2016 vice presidential elections. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo on Monday dared the critics to provide solutions to solve the traffic instead of just finding faults. Panelo, who took on the challenge to use public transport to work last Friday, said critics, including Vice President Leni Robredo, should offer proposals since criticism does not help solve the traffic problem. Earlier, Robredo lamented that Panelo failed to acknowledge the existence of a mass transport crisis in Metro Manila, saying that the first step to solving a problem is to acknowledge its existence. Panelo insisted that there is no mass transport crisis because there is no paralysis of transportation, but a traffic crisis making it difficult for commuters to reach their destinations. He said among the reasons of the traffic volume in the country is because the Philippines is 20 to 30 years behind in infrastructure, as well as the lack of continuity of transport projects. Meanwhile, Panelo responded to Vice President Leni Robredo's call on fellow government officials to refrain from using sirens to cut through traffic. According to Panelo, sirens are only used by government officials in case of emergencies. He said President Duterte and his cabinet officials, including himself, barely used the sirens in the first place. Meanwhile, Senator Richard Gordon said the use of sirens by high government officials is fine as long as it is not abused. Gordon cited his experience abroad during presidential state visits where traffic is stopped to make way for dignitaries to pass through. He said he does not use sirens but admitted, though, to having 2 motorcycle escorts. The provincial government and the Department of Tourism inaugurated on Sunday night the newly improved MacArthur Park in Palo, Leyte. The park opened just a week before the 75th Leyte Gulf Landings commemoration. Leyte Governor Leopoldo Domingo Petilla asked visitors to respect the facility that represents the valor of Leyte's people. MacArthur Park was declared a national park on July 12, 1977. The site is on the same spot where General Douglas MacArthur arrived on October 20, 1944 during the largest naval battle of World War II. Meanwhile, members of the Antique Amazing Youth planted fruit-bearing trees seedlings in Barangay Tubudan, San Remigio, Antique on Sunday. The project aims to make the province the fruit basket of Western Visayas. Other fruit trees expected to be planted are cacao in San Remigio town, jackfruit in Sibalom, and pomelo in San Jose de Buenavista. Antique Governor Rodora Cadiao lauded the youth for the project and said this would improve the province's fruit production. The government announces more than 30 million pesos worth of anti-insurgency projects. Meanwhile, a road project is open to farmers and fishermen from 2 barangays in Butuan City. More on this and other news from the provinces from Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
Farmers and fisherfolk residing in interior villages in Butuan City will soon benefit from the 159 million pesos farm-to-market road funded under the Philippine Rural Development Project of the Department of Agriculture. The 9.8-kilometer road project, which broke ground last October 10, will directly benefit over 500 households of farmers and fisherfolk in the villages of Tungao and San Mateo. The project will improve access to the barangays and give rise to a new economic hub. The 2 barangays are known for planting rubber, coffee, cacao, coconut, and banana. In Dumaguete, the city administration has allocated since last year a total of 93.5 million pesos for the closure of the open dump site in Barangay Candauay as mandated by law. The city government said the amount would also include the construction of a central materials recovery facility on an 8-hectare lot purchased for the purpose. The DENR-approved facility is now 35% complete. Last week, NBI agents arrested 10 people, including the city's garbage collectors and dump truck drivers, for illegally dumping waste at the Kandauway facility. Meanwhile, more than 30 million pesos worth of various projects are lined up for implementation in insurgency-affected local government units of Central Visayas. These projects will be implemented by different national government agencies working with the regional task force to end local communist armed conflict. Among those implementing projects are the Basic Services Cluster, the Local Peace Engagement Cluster, the Expanded Community Local Integrated Program, and Amnesty Program Cluster. An information caravan will be held to spread the plans and projects of the task force through the Strategic Communication Cluster headed by the Philippine Information Agency. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
Up next, Major General Antonio Parlade lambasted former Bayan Muna Representative Satur Ocampo for discrediting President Duterte's EO-70. And a group of health advocates called on President Duterte to certify as urgent the proposal to raise taxes on alcohol and tobacco products. We'll be back after a few reminders.
Sa pag-unlad ng turismo, umangat ang Pilipino. Mga may bahay, nagkahanap buhay. Tagahugas ng pinggan, naging gabay sa karagatan. Isang engineer, napaunlad ang sining ng buong barangay. At ang simpleng magsasagwan, malaki ang tulong sa kalikasan. Silang walang tinig, boses na ng kasaysayan. At ang specialty ni nanay, ngayoy pinipilahan. Ang best friend ng lahat, naging tour guide na. At ang daan-taong apo, naibida ang kulturang Pilipino. Lunti ang ilog, naging entablado. At katutubong sayaw, napaindak ang buong mundo. Ipagdiwang ang isang dekada ng Tourism Act. Kabuhayan sa turismo, pinauunlad ang bawat Pilipino.
The National Youth Commission has urged the Education Department to accommodate indigenous people learners following the closure of Salugpungan schools in the Davao region. The Youth Commission said local government units should work with the community leaders to ensure the right to education of IP children. It also laid out several proposed long-term plans in providing a quality education that would upskill the IPs. These include the development of a community-based and culturally sensitive curriculum, access to scholarships, particularly to para-teachers of IPs, and alternative technical vocational training and livelihood assistance. The NYC also urged for educational agencies to put up more learning institutions that align with the context of IP communities to preserve their culture. Currently, only a few teachers are assigned in communities where the IPs live. Most of them are members of the tribe who graduated as educators and went back to serve them. Earlier, the Department of Education said it is eyeing the construction of more classrooms and other educational facilities for the IP learners in Davao del Norte. A military official lambasted former Bayan Muna Representative Satur Ocampo for discrediting President Duterte's Executive Order number 70, which institutionalizes a whole-of-nation approach in combating communist insurgency. In a column published in Philippine Star on October 12, Ocampo claimed that EO 70, which preferred localized peace talks, would erect big barriers to progress in the peace process. Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict challenged the former National Democratic Front consultant to talk of the real achievements of the Communist Party of the Philippines. In a statement, Parlade slammed the CPP-NPA for demanding peace talks and taking advantage of the truce to recruit minors into their ranks. He also recounted how peace talks allowed NDF to gain leverage by presenting themselves as social activists and human rights defenders to gain funding and bolster their numbers. He accused the CPP-NPA of abusing press freedom and curtailing human rights. He stressed that it is not peace and progress that the CPP want, but more conflict, instability, and poverty. A group of health advocates on Monday called on President Duterte to certify the proposal to raise taxes on alcoholic beverages, heated tobacco products, and vapor products as an urgent measure. The Syntax Coalition says it is hoping to have the new taxes on alcohol, e-cigarettes, and heated tobacco products implemented on the first day of 2020. It noted the President's pronouncement in the 2019 State of the Nation address, asking Congress to prioritize the passage of the bill increasing excise taxes on sin products. The group also stressed that the excise tax increase would prevent young people from assessing them. Senator Pia Cayetano sponsored Senate Bill 1074, which seeks to align the tax rate of HTPs and vape with that of traditional cigarettes, as well as increase the tax on different types of alcoholic beverages. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III said the bill is expected to generate around 47.9 billion pesos, which would help bridge the funding gap for the first year of implementation of the Universal Health Care Law. In our foreign news, emergency crews in Japan continue to search for more than a dozen people still missing from the onslaught of Typhoon Hagibis. At least 64 people were reported dead as of Tuesday morning. Blackouts continue to affect many areas, with about 34,000 households still without power. Water supplies have also been knocked out in some regions, affecting 133,000 homes. The powerful typhoon has also led to severe flooding, with at least 200 rivers overflowing and adding to flood damage. The typhoon also triggered around 150 mudslides across the country. At a disaster task force meeting convened on Tuesday, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said the government will have access to reserve funds. If deemed necessary, it will compile a draft to a supplementary budget to cover the immense amount of reconstruction work necessary in the wake of the damage caused by the typhoon. The Philippines has secured two major awards at the 2019 World Travel Awards for Asia and Oceania, held in Vietnam on Saturday, October 12. The Department of Tourism, or DOT, was hailed as Asia's leading tourism board after a significant 14% increase in the country's visitor arrivals were recorded in the past year. The Philippines was also recognized as Asia's leading dive destination for the first time, following a number of nominations since 2006. The DOT identified dive tourism as one of the key areas in the National Tourism Development Plan 2016 to 2022. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat thanked the government, its industry partners, and tourism stakeholders for their help in realizing a more upward tourism industry for the Philippines. Since 1993, the World Travel Awards recognizes brands from the travel, tourism, and hospitality industries in an annual series of gala ceremonies held per continent. Pangasinan's best products and cultural traditions are set up for display at a newly launched mall-wide event. The event aims to promote Pangasinan's culture and tourist attractions to mall-goers. Laid Kabagani has the story.
Dagupan City's famous Bangus and Tayug Sunflower Dance Festival, among others, were featured at Pangasinan festivals that kicked off on Monday in Rosales, Pangasinan. Festival aims to promote cuisines and delicacies as well as the culture and arts of Pangasinan to the mall-goers. Provincial Tourism and Cultural Affairs Office Special Events Officer Marife Asirit said Pangasinan's best products will be exhibited at SM Center Ordaneta City on October 17 to 19. Among the featured products are Dagupan's Kaleskes and Pigar-Pigar, Balungao's Patupat and Villasis Tupig, and Alaminos City's Longanisa. The largest longanisa pasta will be showcased at SM Center Ordaneta City on October 19. The Tayug National High School students also performed Pangasinan folk dances such as wasiwas or fishing ritual, courtship dance, as well as the Sunflower Dance Festival. Meanwhile, artworks of Pangasinan local artists like Biskeg and Guhit Pinas will be on exhibit on October 19 at the SM Center Dagupan City and on October 20 at SM City Rosales. Festival runs from October 14 to 20. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Kabagani.
Here's the latest in our community billboard. Freedom of Information Philippines is inviting able-bodied Filipinos to join its blood donation activity on Monday, October 21st. Potential donors must be in good health, at least 16 to 65 years of age, weighing 110 pounds and above, and judged to be physically fit. The activity will be held at the BFP building along JP Laurel Street in Malacañang, San Miguel, Manila. And here's another look at today's biggest stories.
Senators say that PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde's move to vacate his post does not get him off the hook. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno welcomes the launching of Kadiwa in Manila City Hall. Presidential spokesperson Panelo dares critics to provide solutions to solve the traffic instead of just finding faults. And Major General Antonio Parlade lambasts former Bayan Muna Representative Satur Ocampo for discrediting President Duterte's EO-70.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.